This video was written by What If Football, a link to his channel will be in the description below. So Mason Mount, Andre Onana and even Johnny Evans have been signed, sealed and delivered, and now the attention turns to the summer's number one priority, which is a centre forward. And it's been almost a decade since United signed a centre forward under the age of 21, and it remains undecided as to whether Rasmus HOJLUND will be replacing or coexisting with that man Anthony Martial. The only other example of an under 21 attacker signing for United's first team, at least in the Premier League era anyway, is Wayne Rooney. Both Rooney and Martial were footballing prodigies but have had very different careers at Old Trafford. And so ultimately, if he is signed, HOJLUND will be taking the place of Anthony Martial in the starting 11 at least. And so with our optimistic hats on, could the Danish frontman replicate Wayne Rooney's bursting onto the scene? But before I go any further, remember to subscribe to the channel and check out my Patreon podcast, which will be linked below. But also, if you want cheap, good quality football jerseys for the new season or retro jerseys from the past 40 years, then check out jerseyfifa.com. A link will be in my Instagram bio, and if you use coupon code Atlantis, you should get a discount as well. I'll leave my Instagram at the top of the description and comment section, and a link will be in my Instagram bio. But Wayne Rooney swapped Merseyside for Manchester in 2004 when the frontline options for United were Ruud van Nistelrooy, who was banging in goals prolifically in the seasons previous, an injury-prone Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and a functional frontman in Louis Saha. Rasmus HOJLUND meanwhile will be relied upon to be the main man up top, as Anthony Martial seems unfavoured by Erik ten Hag, and Marcus Rashford's optimal position is definitely starting out wide, as Cristiano Ronaldo's was when Rooney signed for United 19 years ago. But there is a universe where he might not be the primary option up front for much longer. For as long as Harry Kane remains at an underachieving Tottenham Hotspur and stays on his dwindling contract, his spectre will loom large over Old Trafford, with or without HOJLUND signing. With the pressure already in abundance at a club like Manchester United, the fact that an experienced and generational goal scorer in the Premier League is running down his contract, keeping the potential option of him joining the club alive, potentially could unnerve the Dane. Wayne Rooney had no such problem, however, and once his first 90 minutes in front of the Manchester United faithful was over, he settled in immediately. Maybe it was a blessing in disguise at a broken foot for his Old Trafford bow in the opening weekend of the Premier League season against Wolves. Those who are old enough will remember the moment when Wayne Rooney entered professional football. His last-minute winner against champions Arsenal as a 16-year-old at Goodison Park was a sign of things to come. And as Clive Tildesley implored to us on the commentary, we all remembered his name. The player who came through the ranks at Everton was known to those outside of Merseyside, as he rumbled ominously through youth football as the country's next great hope up front, as the likes of Gary Lineker, Alan Shearer and Michael Owen had all done before. HOJLUND, on the other hand, didn't have that same platform, be it his country of birth, the lesser stage in which he made his first strides into professional football, or the fact that he was arguably better managed by his clubs than Wayne Rooney had been. Whilst a groundswell of expectation almost demanded that Wayne Rooney be played from such an early age, Rasmus HOJLUND trundled his way through the Danish national team age groups, turning out for the under-19s as late as last year. Meanwhile, Wayne Rooney skipped the under-21s altogether and was named England's youngest ever player in February 2003 in a friendly against Australia, aged 17 years and 111 days. HOJLUND meanwhile is 21 in February and isn't even a year into his senior international career. By that point, for better or worse, Wayne Rooney had participated in the European Championships in 2004 and the World Cup in 2006. And it hasn't been the case that Denmark have been well stocked in the attacking positions either. Jon Dahl Tomasson jointly holds the Denmark national team goal-scoring record and retired from the international game in 2010. Since then, the line has been led by such luminaries as Nicholas Bentner, Yusuf Poulsen and Martin Braithwaite. HOJLUND moved through Brøndby and Copenhagen's youth teams before making just 5 appearances in his inaugural professional campaign. That would increase to 27 the season after, with 11 of those coming in the Conference League. And it was here that he offered a glimpse to the continent of his quality, scoring 3 in qualification as well as 2 in the group phase, and it earned him a move to Sturm Graz of Austria. Producing a rate of over a goal a game, HOJLUND finally penetrated into a top 5 league, aged 20, at roughly the same time of his career that Wayne Rooney was busy receiving a red card in the World Cup quarter-final. Meanwhile, HOJLUND missed a cut for what would have been his first World Cup, behind Martin Braithwaite, Andreas Cornelius, Yusuf Poulsen, Kasper Dolberg and Jonas Wind, which was an experienced squad that Denmark took to Qatar. But now he is first choice. His senior international bow came with 2 appearances from the bench in the Nations League games against Croatia and France in September 2022. But it would be the other side of the World Cup in 2023 where HOJLUND would come into his own. As his goal-scoring form for his third new club, Atalanta, sagged in the second half of the season, for his national side he began to be utilised more as a centre-forward. His first Danish start came in March 2023 with an explosive hat-trick at Parken Stadium in a 3-1 victory over Finland. Just 3 days later, HOJLUND secured 2 more goals, this time away at Kazakhstan in a match that outright ought to have been won, until a late 3-goal comeback. In terms of a swift international turnaround, Rooney was capable of swatting teams aside too, from a brace against Switzerland on the second match day of Euro 2004 in the group stage, or the 2 more that came against Croatia 4 days later. Rooney's style was explosive and it birthed an even bigger clamour that resulted in his fast-track transfer to one of the world's biggest clubs. HOJLUND's rise on the other hand has been a lot more gentler. His eventual return of 10 goals from 34 games from a season in a big league betters the total set out by Wayne Rooney at Everton, who managed 17 in 77 games across his first 2 full seasons for Everton. It's one of the few similarities between the pair. But to be fair, Wayne Rooney was a much more complete player than just goal scoring, but many have stated that his premature introduction to senior football could have been a factor behind his decline as he got to his late 20s, early 30s. And so this stringent stage management of HOJLUND's early career could turn out to be more of a benefit in the long run. In fact, Rasmus HOJLUND has been largely compared to one Erling Haaland. Be it his name, his style of play, or the fact that he's Scandinavian, he probably has a marginally closer lineage to the Norwegian than he does to Wayne Rooney. And the most pertinent similarity between the both is that prior to joining the Premier League, both were used to playing against defences with a much higher line. Such is the rise of a young footballer into one of the bigger clubs in world football, the task on the football pitch changes. Manchester City had half a year transitional period in order to adapt to Haaland, whilst Rasmus HOJLUND would face a similar setup, and it could be even longer for United and HOJLUND, with him also likely to face a similar setup against low block defences. And during the first 5 years of Wayne Rooney's tenure at Old Trafford, he was never the club's primary goalscorer. In the early days it was Ruud van Nistelrooy who was utilised as a main goalscorer, whilst Rooney's goalscoring record climbed to a comfortable goal every other game. And then after that, Cristiano Ronaldo was a main goal scorer up front for United, and only when Ronaldo left and Rooney was deployed as a penalty box striker, and given ample service was he prolific. In the 3 years between Cristiano Ronaldo's departure and Robin van Persie's arrival, Wayne Rooney netted 84 goals in 127 appearances for the club. But Manchester United supporters will probably have to wait a couple of years for this type of return from Rasmus HOJLUND, and it could come too late should Victor Osimhen come on the market, or Harry Kane be available on a free next summer if his move to Bayern Munich this summer doesn't work out.